Good morning, ladies. I am Karen Ray. I am the founder here at Fave Lifestyles and the initiative hashtag celebrating 1 million women. And I am so thrilled to be celebrating so many women and their stories, their brave stories, their courageous steps that they had to take forward. And that's what it's all about, is amplifying the voices of courageous women in our everyday life, because there are extraordinary stories every single day. And just bringing these ladies together is such a privilege. So welcome, wonderful. How are you?
Yay. Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me and for, I feel really honored to be a part of your project because you have been such a advocate for women and celebrating who we are as people, as human
Yeah,
beings.
and then it's such a great space. I love to celebrate. One of the things, we should all celebrate every day, but it's just so much fun to share these shared experiences of women,
Mhm.
everyday stuff that we go through, and we don't pat ourselves on the back about it being a brave step or anything. But so we're taking a moment
Mhm.
and shining some light on that, because you know what, we come together, with those experiences, it connects us, and that's really
Yeah.
what this hashtag celebrating 1 million women is about. It's bringing us together in ways that maybe we haven't before. And so just want to say congratulations to you, because your story has been selected for the book, and excited
Ah,
to read your story in the book. And that book will be coming out in December. It's called Being Brave, hashtag celebrating 1 million women and their courage. So I'm going to just take a moment, because I just want to give a little introduction about you. And then we're going to go, we're going to have a little fun little discussion about what it was like to write your story,
mm.
impact of that. So first of all, I want you ladies to know that wonderful, that is her birth name, not her stage name. She is a dreamer, a doer, someone who thrives on connecting with others. As a fempreneur, she believes in dreaming big, putting in the work, building connections, and pushing the boundaries. Yes, I
Mhm.
love that. It's been quite a journey for her to arrive to this point, but with over 25 years of experience as a business owner, she's discovered her true calling, serving clients with a heart and empowering mompreneurs to create a positive impact in their businesses. But her passion doesn't stop there with entrepreneurship. She finds immense joy in her family life too. She is a mother of three incredible grown children and a grandmother to two lovely granddaughters, and I have seen them. They are darling. And she
Thank you.
cherishes those simple moments. And so waking up next to her husband of 30 years fills her with gratitude each and every day. And it is her mission to redefine success and fempreneurship in today's world. A celebration that is unstoppable spirit in women over 40 who fearlessly leave their mark on the world of business. Oh, wow. That is
Well, thank you.
Yes. So, we are so much more than women in business, women in careers, wives, mothers. There's so much more to us. And I
Mhm.
think that's really what we're bringing light to here, that there is this depth of within us that really needs to have a light shined on it, and let that feminine spirit shine brightly, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, welcome. It's so good to have you here. Let's talk a little bit about what inspired you to write your story in the first place.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
To be completely honest, it was you because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to write a story. Like all of us women, we have our own little stories we tell about what we're not good at, right? So I've been telling myself, I'm not a good writer. I'm not a strong writer. This is not my thing. Uh, and I had just written another chapter that took me a lot to put together. And when you brought this to my attention, I thought, no, there's plenty of other people out there. And as a matter of fact, when I first wrote it out, it was terrible. Ladies, I'm just being honest right now. It was terrible. It was terrible because it was so dry and so not anything amazing. And Karen was so sweet. She said, um, so can we have a conversation about what you turned in? And I thought, oh, she knows it's right. So, really, to be real vulnerable here, I wrote the story. I decided to jump in on this because you have been such an important part of my own growth and understanding my own feminine energy, that I can't be saying in the same breath, like, yes, Karen, go do it, and then not do it alongside you.
Mm.
Right. And I think that's what this whole thing is about, is we're not writing these vulnerable stories for just fun, or putting ourselves out there. It's really to encourage other women that they can do it. And you really brought that to me in a way where I was like, okay, you know what, if she's brave enough to do this, I'm going to stand alongside her. I don't want her to do it alone. So that was really the encouragement.
I love that. Wonderful. As we're locking arms, and I've had a saying here at Fave ever since we started: life is richer with your Fave girlfriends by your side. And that's really what it is where by you sharing your story of that breakdown through breakthrough, is bringing these ladies. It's like, you know what? I did this. I did walk through this. This is kind of what I had to feel and struggle through. And this is what I learned, and the inspiration. And it gives those ladies like, yes, she did it. I can do it too. And that's and when I read your story, and I'm so excited for the ladies to read it, in the book, but just that spirit of, yeah, come on, girls, we can do it together.
Yeah. I mean, I think isn't that what we're always saying as women through centuries and generations, right? Is that we have in each one of us, we have the incredible capacity to change the trajectory of the world individually, but what could we do so much more together?
Yes.
Right.
And then being able to connect through those shared experiences. I think, tell me this, do you think women realize that even those small things that we do day to day can make an impact to change the way the world works?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that just in my own healing journey, right? So many of us who are really into this healing journey, a lot of that healing comes from our past, our parents, our mothers, who they believe they were at the time that they were raising us, affected each one of us greatly, to such a degree that we have created a life based on that experience. So I often think, if my mom, she was not in a amazing marriage, but I just think if she had just stood up for herself, even just a little tiny bit, it would have changed my trajectory just a little bit, right? Not that I have regrets, or I regret the way it was, but I think every little act we make, it is the ripple effect.
Yeah. And I like what you said, standing up for yourself, standing in who you are. And I think that's in your journey and through your story. I think that's what I saw, is that you said, hey, I'm going to question this. Is this the way it has to be? And for myself, can I stand up and ask this question, or can I stand in my own truth and let my feminine energy, my feminine light of who I am, shine bright? And what would happen if I did that?
And then what's so fascinating? I think what's so fascinating about this particular subject we're talking about is so many of us women are like, yes, let's shine brightly. Let's have impact in the world. We are so vigorous and full of life still, even though we're in our third chapters of life. And yet we want to do this thing called feel safe. Right. So it's the opposite side of shine and safe. But really, I had to think about when I wrote this, I was like, oh, I don't want to share this, especially with a group of women. My struggle is with women. So I don't want them to know this. I don't want them to know that I had any kind of issues with girlfriends or betrayals with other women. And then I thought, that kind of safe is called comfort zone. That's not helping anybody, right? It's not even helping me, because I'm just bottling it up inside. And we really have to, for me, I had to redefine shine. What does that mean? Like shiny, like am I just showing up in my perfect world and the perfect this and the great that, and like, and I thought, no, I don't want to do that. And what's interesting is when I turned in my story, I hadn't really seen anybody else's stories. And
Yeah.
then when we did the presentation and I sat alongside Cindy Toledo and Jody Schilling, their experience deeply affected me because even though we don't have the same story, we had the exact same emotional experience.
Okay, so you just hit three different things, three different of our questions here that we were going to talk about. So let's take this apart just a little bit. So one of the things, just in like 2 sentences, tell first of all the ladies what your story is so they can kind of relate some of the pieces that we're talking about. So first, let's go there, and then we're going to go dive into some other of the things that you just said.
My story is centered around female relationships, friendships that I broke my heart, hurt me deeply. I didn't recognize that the way that I loved people was not going to be reciprocated, because I've learned now. A lot of who I've been is begging for scraps when it comes to love. Right? I sit there and I imagine in my head, oh, I'll love her so much, she'll love me back so big. And really, it was constantly a disappointment or a hurt or a pain or a betrayal. And I wanted to just be done. I'm like, no more friends ever. Women are like, I'm completely out of this equation. I'm just going to be me with my little family and be safe. And then you came along.
And the journey through that, and we'll talk a little too about kind of that, what's the main lesson out of all of that got you through, because you're on the other side of the story. And that's the beauty of this, is that we come through these stories. And one of the things that you talked about, which is one of our questions too, is why is it important for women to share their stories?
Oh gosh, that is I haven't experienced AA, but I read the Big Blue Book. And what's really fascinating about the model of AA is it's this tight-knit community of shared experiences that's safe, that is relatable, that is mirrored of each other, and it's anonymous, right? Because it's a different space. And I think that's what, women 50 and over, we grew up in an era that we're commanded for us to not talk about our dirty laundry, air anything out, right? Be perfect, be good. We're conditioned to be good. And I think that we're unanimously suffering in the being good and the being quiet and the being silent and and I think that every time I met a new person through your community, it was this shared experience of like, oh yeah, me too. Oh yeah, there was this food thing that I was struggling with, or there was this husband thing I was struggling with, or there's this children thing I'm struggling with. And each one of us think we're in it alone.
Right.
And that is what kind of girlfriends really don't share.
Yeah.
Truly.
And it's really from that space. So, and as women come to, whether they come and write their story, which the doors here are still open, that women can go submit their stories. It's interview style. So it's taking you through the story, but the main thing, it's not all about the circumstances of the story. And you have said this many times before too. We all have these stories, and it's not, and we, different story, different people, different circumstances, but
yeah,
so much of the story is the same. It's like what you said, is to bring, it's those shared emotions that we have to walk through. It's the disappointment or the abandonment or the overwhelm or whatever it is, whether it's a story about your career, kids' relationships, or whatever it is. It's those shared emotions that we have to go through. But here at Fave, the difference that when we share stories in some other places is that we really focus on those courageous steps that you had to take next. I mean, you had some pivot points in your story, and then to take us to those new places, it's like to get through it. It's like, yeah, you know what? I had to dig deep into myself to take that, whatever that next step is for you. And it's not the step itself necessarily, the doing. It's the being, about who you had to become in your own story. And that is what brings us, I feel, brings us together. And those shared, I mean, I was rooting you on. I'm like, oh yes, I've experienced, experiences with other girlfriends or whatever. And it's just so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So as we talk about that too, you and I have talked a lot about this feminine energy, this feminine light, this feminine power, if you will. So here at Fave, how I see that is, I envision a celebration of women's strength, their brilliance, and their boundless potential. And then bringing their uniqueness to the community, and that knowing that each and every part of them matters, and it matters to share that, the goodness, all the beauty that is out of their unique, who they are. So what does igniting feminine power mean to you?
So, in the beginning, and I used to think this feminine power was this warrior queen, right? Somebody who's just shielded, sword in hand, ready to fight the battle. But I realized that through this journey of creating deep relationships with women, there was this particular experience where I was having a really rough day and I was crying in the dark. The house was, and no one was home. It was just me, and the house was dark, and I'm crying. And I remember my son comes in, and he's like, hello, because he didn't know anybody was home, but he could hear something, right? And I was just really upset because I miss those past relationships, because I thought I'd invested time and energy, right? Yeah. And what was interesting is, as I'm talking to my husband about it, and I've been also given the same advice from some really wise women, is the risk we take as women to love, to really put our heart out there, to really show up, to be vulnerable with each other, to share each other's experiences. The risk is you potentially can get hurt. You could potentially get heartbroken. You could, but at the same breath, I'm always like, let's really live life. Like, I want to live big. I want to, right? It's there. You can't do one without the other. You can't live big and also risk not loving and not being in relationships, because all of it, the outcome could be heartbreak. And then I had to ask myself, am I willing to do that again in this group of female powerhouses? And that to me is feminine power, when we're brave enough to take the risk to love deeply and know we could potentially get hurt.
Right.
Which wasn't an easy journey.
No, that's not easy to do. What if we went out and loved without any expectations back? Because we get to control who we love. And I have gone through the same journey. I can. Okay, where's my paddle? I relate. Any girls out there, we'll be sent. I need to start making these paddles so we can send them out, so the girls can just bring their paddles. One side of it says I relate, and the other side it just gives us some love. So important. And so when your story comes out, I hope that women see that it is a story of giving love. And what is that going to look like? Taking those risks.
Yes. Love is, I think it is the biggest, most powerful force in our human existence. And it's so powerful that it can make us shine as bright as the sun or crush us. Right. And I think we're constantly in this connection to ourselves. Like, what I've learned in feminine energy is to love unconditionally is to connect to myself, because I can't give what I don't have. And if I don't love myself at that level, how can I give it out to somebody else? So I think that is the purest form of feminine energy, feminine light, feminine strength, is loving fully to such a degree that you have so much inside of you that all you can do is give it away. Which again sounds great, doesn't mean it's easy.
No, not easy. It may be a simple concept, but it is not easy. Right. Ladies, if you are out there listening, say give her some love. That was beautiful right there.
Oh,
Wow.
thank you.
There's so much. And that brings me just into our next question too, is how do you celebrate you? How do you now
Oh,
celebrate time to celebrate those your story, celebrate you?
that is
Because it
such
has to,
a
like you were saying,
great,
it starts with us.
yeah, that is such a great question. And really, as much as I don't want to admit, it's a hard question to answer
Mhm.
because celebrate really, right?
No.
Again, the era we grew up in, the generation we grew up in, you don't, being good girl means like you just stay quiet. You don't, that's egotistical, that's selfish if you're out there doing this, doing that. And I the first time I really realized, I don't know, I don't believe that, is I read this book called Lean In, by Sheryl Sandberg, who's a
Mhm.
CFO of Facebook, and she talks about how women are very like, no, everybody else can have it. I'm just going to be back here and doing this. And what is that really doing for us, for our daughters, for our nieces, for the next generation? And I don't want to uh I don't want to help somebody else. Like, I think that's what you do so brilliantly, Karen. You shine so brightly that we shine with you. If you were just, no, you shine, but I'm not gonna shine, that doesn't even work together. Like, we need your shine so we can fulfill our bucket to have more shine. So we can't keep hoping somebody else has it, but we don't have it. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I love how you said that because I mean, women here have challenged me to. They said, Karen, it's got to start with you. If we're all,
Mhm.
we're in these masterminds and stuff, and they said, how can we all shine if you're putting yourself less than? So what if we didn't have to put ourselves less than? What if we can all come
Yes.
shine?
That's celebration right
Yeah,
there. I think that's it.
celebration coming. And so, yeah, so I think coming in as an equal, as somebody who
Mhm.
also provides value. And I think that's a space, that safe space here at Fave, is that
Yes.
we do create, and you've said this, it's a safe space for women to come and just give themselves permission to celebrate, because it does, it
Yes.
multiplies. It's that ripple effect. And
Right.
yeah, and just think of what we can do and to change the landscape of our world going forward. If we can change how
Right.
women are showing up in
Right.
everyday life, whether it be career, as a wife, what if I mean, you're bringing something, we sometimes, put other people ahead of us. What if we came in as the equal, not above or not in a prideful space, but just, hey, we all bring value, and together, like you were saying, together we can create so much more.
Yeah, what's I recently heard a psychologist asking, she was being interviewed on a podcast, and she asked the podcast interviewers, like, hey, what do you think is the common denominator or the key to happy children who are, just out there in the world being a contributing factor of society? And the interviewers are like, oh, dad being in the household, and community and all of these different things. And she's like, those are great. But what they've found recently is the fruitful happiness of another human being stems from the happiness of their mother. So if that's true, if how we recreate our children's lives is our happiness, why are we not celebrating who we are? Why are we stepping back and saying, no, you first? Like, why, if we are the answer to the shift of society, and being happiness is the outcome of our children's happiness and their success, whatever, right? Why are we not doing what we're meant to do? Stand up and show up and shine up and glow up and do all the things that make us happy, right?
Yeah, yeah. And just knowing that you're bringing value just
Yes.
because you are you. It's not because
Oh
you
my
have this
gosh.
great skill, or, these
Yeah.
brilliant, which you do have as well, but it's you.
Right. 100%. Like, I do not have a Harvard degree, PhD, FPP, whatever, LCC. I think that yes, those are fantastic if that's what people want, but I think we should just celebrate who we are, just as we are.
Wow.
That's my
Wow,
answer.
that is great advice. And that actually answers the last one. What advice would you give women just to show up and to be you, shine on, glow on, girlfriends, because
Yeah.
it's contagious. It gets other people, could try this, when you go into a store or something and you smile at somebody, they smile back.
Right. Right. I think my well, not greatest advice, but my advice to that I've been really working through myself is like loving ourselves is probably the toughest journey. Loving our children, easy peasy.
Oh, yeah.
Loving, our Chanel bag, easy peasy. But loving us just for who we are, with all of these past stories of mistakes and I think that if nothing else, the way that we change the world isn't more doing. I think it's really about being more being, right? They say that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So our goal is always to move towards being, but being is, I mean, like, what does that mean? When people say that, I'm like, I don't know what being means, but what if that being is love? What if that's it? That's the only answer, is to love ourselves at the highest level of our capacity. It's what changes the world. What if that was it?
Yeah. And loving who we are. And
Exactly.
that loving me I think it's really hard for a lot of women. It's hard for myself. It's like, oh no, that's too prideful or whatever, ego
Yeah.
or whatever. But what does that really look like? What if we just loved ourselves, and who we are
Yeah.
as we are,
Yeah.
our best selves, bringing that best self to
Right.
the table. So
Right.
wonderful. Wow. Great. There's so many things that we could do here, but I want to keep it to our 30 minutes. And thank you for coming and visiting with us. So I want to
Thank
talk
you.
just a minute about too, how women can come and be a part of this mission and why it's important. Ladies, as we come together, we need more wonderfuls. We need you. We need how you are and how you be, and come and share that here at Fave and bring, we've created this space to bring light, to amplify who you are and your voice and your story. And that's how we relate and connect, is through the stories. So one, you can come and read a story, or you can submit a story, and we have an interview format that will take you through it. And so go read a story and see what it's like. And then also, if you would like to come and help sponsor this mission and be a part
Mhm.
of it, women can come, and there's several different ways to sponsor. Either be a part of the book, we still have spaces there, or to be a sponsor at our event and come meet the women in person, or you can sponsor a story like Wonderfuls. And now we also have another way too, if you just want to be a part of the mission. We have these darling little keychains. I don't have it right here, but for you, $29. I mean, and you can be a part of the mission and have that little keychain that says, hey, I am supporting women's voices. I am supporting how we're all going to connect together through our stories. And so just bringing that to the table here, and we'll be out today. And so wonderful. Any last words you would like to, anything you want to leave the ladies with before we sign off?
I just want to encourage all of you. I know there's a lot of you out there, ladies, that are being nudged, that are like, I want to do it, I want to share it, but there's something holding you back. I just encourage you to jump, because we're here to catch you.
Yeah.
Like, we've been there too. You're not doing this alone. None of us are doing this alone, especially in this community that Karen has created and built. And I just feel like we have to give our lives a voice. And this voice can reverberate through eternity. And your great, 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 great grandchildren can learn a little piece about you just by sharing this one story.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you for visiting with us, ladies. Love you. Have a
Love
fabulous
you.
day. We'll see you next
Thank
time.
you. Bye.